Mo, say a little something.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Again, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Once more.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Fantastic.
5. Okay.
30 seconds. Pat, where are you? Pat, grab the timer. It's running the cue. Just need to start it when I say go. In 10 seconds.
Is the camera going to come on?
The camera is on.
Okay. Nothing's showing up on the screen here.
Because I need to put the opening credits up first.
Okay.
Okay, start the timer.
Hello, my name's Mo Hill. I'm running for mayor of Toms River on the Republican ticket, row A. You can count on me to preserve the quality of life in Toms River. We're going to look to preserve open space in Toms River. We're also going to strictly enforce all our building and zoning codes. And we're going to look to keep taxes low with shared services and increased efficiencies in Town Hall.
To start out this morning, or this evening's session with a little opening statement. For mayor, I will promise you that this Toms River will not become an overdeveloped community with multifamily housing and a bankrupt school system. I've been on the council for 16 years and I've worked to keep the quality of life in Toms River the way it has been in the past and should be in the future. Our biggest obstacle to overdevelopment is our COA obligation, and that's mandated by the court system. We don't have any control over that. In round 3, we were mandated with 2,400 units. We went to court, we got a court settlement, and we dropped about 50% of that requirement. While I've been on the council, we've preserved over 400 acres of open space. In 2017, we revisited our master plan and revised it. We removed any residential housing from the Route 9 corridor. We've also passed a 10-acre ordinance for house of worship in our COA area, in our CAFRA areas rather, because you can only build on 30% of the land. So if you have a 10-acre parcel, you can only build on 30%. That includes the house of worship, your parking, your sidewalks, your curb. We've also passed a no solicitation ordinance and to preserve our quality of life in Toms River. In addition, we've hired Professor Marcy Hamilton, who's a renowned RLUIPA lawyer in case we have any litigation. My opponent, Mr. Petro, has used the divisiveness of the Democrat Party tactics to divide our community. He's exploiting the fears of our residents and fueling hatred among the residents and division. That's not the way we should be conducting a campaign. My Democratic opponent has attacked my integrity, saying that I sold out to the Orthodox community because I accepted campaign contributions from my Jewish neighbors. I will tell you unequivocally, I've never granted any special favors now for anyone, now or ever. I never will. I also have been criticized by my opponent for accepting an interview with a neighbor who had threatened to sue Toms River. I will tell you that I will meet with any resident at any time, regardless of their ethnicity or their religion. I plan on being the mayor of the entire community, not just one specific community. I will tell you that this past week there's been an anonymous letter that went out to the community that said that I had voted for a 2-acre small house of worship. The fact is that ordinance was never introduced to the council, was never voted on. Yet my opponent doesn't tell you that his running mate, Karen Sage, is a partner in a law firm that is presently suing Jackson Township in a RLUIPA lawsuit to overturn their zoning regulations. Mr. Petro has also accused me of building over 3,000 units of housing in Toms River. The 3,000 units are COA housing. I have never represented a client before our planning boards or our zoning boards, yet my opponent, Mr. Petro, his law firm is one of the largest land use law firms in our town. In addition, Mr. Petro hasn't disclosed his campaign funds. He recently filed his ELEC joint candidate committee sworn statement, Form A2, where he states he's not going to spend more than $14,000. He will spend money from PACs that we'll never find where the money came from to fund anonymous letters that are mailed from a drop box on a UPS store in Hooper Avenue. He's offered no plan for Toms River, no solution for any of the problems that we've been discussing. He continues to attack me personally, which I think we need to raise our game up and start discussing the issues facing Toms River, which I'd welcome him to do. His only experience is the managing director of a law firm that has overdeveloped Toms River and affected our quality of life, particularly in the northern section of town. I will continue to fight for the quality of life in Toms River, and I will continue to represent all of our citizens, all of our residents, not any specific group, everyone. We're a multi-ethnic, multi-denominational community. We need to represent all of our residents, whatever their concerns may be. With that, I'll open it up for the questions. I notice we have a question here about Ortley Beach section of Toms River seceding to join Lavallette. My part, interestingly enough, my opponent's law firm is representing Ortley Beach in this proposed secession suit. Again, we've spent a lot of money in Ortley Beach to rebuild. All the roads have been rebuilt, repaved. We've also refurbished our park. We're doing a streetscaping project on Route 35. We're engaged in conversations with the possible purchase of the old surf club property. The state is partnering with us with Blue Acres money. The township's going to also redevelop the area with boardwalks and new parking area. The discussions are currently going back and forth between the landowner and the township. I'm still optimistic that we'll come to a resolution on that. But I think that losing Ortley Beach, again, they're a critical portion of our community. It's beachfront area that serves all the residents, not just the residents of Ortley Beach. And I think it's critical that we spent a lot of money, as I said, in rebuilding Ortley Beach, and I would hope that they would reconsider and remain as part of Toms River. My attitude is Lavallette is surrounded by Toms River, and if we're going to talk about consolidation, perhaps Lavallette should really become part of Toms River. Next question. Do we have another question? We have a question on shared services. Shared services are definitely a way to consolidate. We're always looking for, as I said, improvements in efficiency. I think last time I mentioned the fact that we've gone to robo-cans for both recycling and garbage collection, and that's cut down on the number of workers that we need, also saved on any injuries from work-related problems. We're always looking to partner with both the school system and the county. I will tell you that initially when I was first on the council, we partnered with the school system to put down turf fields. The reason we did that was a lot of our youth programs were using the high school fields, and we felt it was a good partnership. So it was a shared services agreement between the school system and the local government. We were able to have our young youth league football teams and lacrosse teams use the high school fields, and the high school had them for soccer, track, and for football. Those fields have recently just reached their life expectancy, and with the referendum that was passed, if you've gone to any of the football games at North or South or East, you'll see that there's a brand new turf field. They were replaced. The life expectancy was 15 years, and that's what we got. We got 15 years. The turf will gradually wear down to the point where it becomes unsafe, and you've got to replace it. If you don't replace it in time, what happens is your base underneath will erode, and then it's just, instead of just replacing the sport turf, you're winding up replacing the supporting material and gravel underneath. So again, that referendum allowed us to replace the turf fields that we originally put on, as another example of shared services between the township and the school district. We'll move to the next question. What are the plans for revitalization considered for downtown and the former hotel site along the waterfront? This is we had a redevelopment plan passed unanimously by our council. We purchased the Red Carpet Inn, and that was demolished. It was in pretty deteriorated condition. We have a blank slate for downtown. What we'd like to see is, we'd like to see obviously more people living downtown. We went out for RFPs, requests for proposals. 4 packages were picked up. We had 1 returned by the Capodagi Group. They've done redevelopment in several towns around. They've done Linden, they've done Bound Brook, they've done Hackensack. The interesting thing with Hackensack is that's a county seat much like Toms River, so we went up to see their project there. It's basically a 3 to 4 story apartment complex with parking garages underneath. Their apartments are geared toward millennials and empty nesters. What do I mean by that? They're smaller apartments. Single bedrooms are about 700, and the 2 bedrooms about 1,000 square feet. They have located their projects near transportation centers. And in Toms River, the only transportation center we have is the downtown bus station. They have, when we were up in Hackensack, the demographic that they have been attracting, and I found that to be the case, were young millennial families or empty nesters. And those type of people are basically looking for not to cook their meals in their apartment. They like to go out to a coffee bar, they want to go to a restaurant, they want to go to a nightclub, and then they also want to have the ability to get on a bus, go into New York City, go up to Red Bank or some other area. I think we can develop downtown Toms River in a conservative way. We're not going to have 10-story buildings. These were the proposals they had were 3 to 4 story buildings with parking garages underneath. And I think that if we get people living downtown, that's going to generate more income for downtown. It's going to give us a rateable base downtown, and it's also going to encourage new businesses. And I would see along that place where the old Red Carpet Inn was, maybe a restaurant with a bar overlooking the water. Each of the Capodagi apartment complexes will have a coffee bar, an internet cafe, and a restaurant within there. So if we can get people living downtown, it's going to generate more activity. It's going to be a boon for the businesses that are currently down there. I see another comment, another anonymous letters are tools of cowards. You and I had a conversation specifically about the 2-acre zoning, my position on 2-acre zoning. Again, I've received letters at town hall, and if they're not signed, I discard them. I mean, if you don't have the courage to sign a letter of complaint or complaining about an issue, then I'm not going to waste my time. The letter that came out that was received by a lot of the residents was from an organization called TR Residents Against Overdevelopment, TRRAO. When you look at the address, it's 1358 Hooper Avenue, number 206. I went to that address. There is no unit 206. There is a UPS store with a box 206, and it turns out that's the address that the letter came from. I think the letter had a lot of false accusations in there. It talked about 2-acre zoning, which has never been proposed. It showed up on an agenda item and was removed because we had never discussed this. It showed up out of the blue, and both Mr. Whitman and I, who sit on a land use committee, asked that it be removed, and we're trying to find out where it came from. Basically, we tracked it back to a meeting that was held on May 17th. It was a meeting between the 2 Democratic council people, Lori Urick and Terrence Turnback, Don Guardian, our business administrator, Dave Roberts, our planner, Anthony Merlino, our lawyer, and Ms. Hamilton, Dr. Hamilton, who's our RLUIPA lawyer, and some members of the Orthodox community. Apparently at that meeting, they had discussed a 1-acre house of worship, and at the end of the meeting, the legal staff was given a sample 2-acre house of worship. However, when this meeting was going on, I didn't attend it. I was in Europe at the time. Following that meeting, we had a land use meeting on the 21st. Again, I was still in Europe. At that meeting, there are no evidence that anything was discussed about a 1 acre or 2 acre house of worship. When I came to the meeting, the land use meeting in June, and we reviewed the minutes, there was no mention of a 1 acre or a 2 acre house of worship. All of a sudden, on September 13th, we get a prepackaged for our meeting, land use meeting on the 17th, a Tuesday, and there's an agenda item that has an ordinance with the 2 acre house of worship. Out of the blue, never heard of it, no discussion whatsoever. Usually on our agenda, if we're going to discuss an item, it's listed very briefly. Agenda item, discussion of houses of worship. We then have our land use meeting, we discuss that issue. If an ordinance is appropriate, we direct the legal staff to draft an ordinance. We then discuss that ordinance, and then if appropriate, we move it forward onto the council level for action. None of that was done. The gun was jumped here, and the ordinance appeared before we had any discussion of this 2 acre houses of worship. So the story is totally false. In addition, on the letter, they talked about lighting. The meeting we had about lighting involved the BPU, the Green Energy Commission from the state, a grant writer for the town, and a member of the IBEW who would be replacing the lights. At that meeting, we discussed the grant that's out there for $500,000, which would allow you to basically change 1,800 mercury vapor and sodium vapor bulbs to the LED lights. Now, if you've driven around town and you see a very bright white light on a street light, chances are that's the new LED light. They're cost effective, they last longer to use less energy, so it's a green energy situation. Problem came in when we finally met. The BPU told us, JCP&L says we only have 4,500 street lights. Our CFO at the meeting says we're paying JCP&L based on 9,000. So there's a disconnect in the number of units. We directed our engineering staff to conduct an inventory of the total street light in Toms River. So we know it's either 4,500 or it's 9,000 or it's somewhere in the middle. At no time did we discuss additional lighting. It was the replacement lighting. The LED lights, if you look at them, it's a flat light. There's no cover underneath it. But if you drive by in areas where they have replaced the LED bulbs, it's a much brighter light. It lights up the area a lot better. And I think that's going to be an increase in safety. So what we're going to do is take a break right now, and we'll pick it up again in 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
And unfortunately, we've seen some anti-Semitic rhetoric and some very divisive mouthpieces already in this campaign. How do you respond to that?
Well, I haven't responded, and I'm not going to respond to it because it's demeaning to our community. We have an inclusive community. We have a diverse community. Why would we want to separate that? And why would we want to divide either religions or ethnicity against one another and play people for votes? That's just counterintuitive. If you're going to be the mayor of the town, if you're going to be a councilman in this town, you represent everybody. You don't pick and choose who you're going to represent. And I was that way in the service. I've been that way on the council. I didn't pick anybody based on their faith or their race. In the military, I haven't granted any favors to anybody in the township. You play by the rules. The rules are the codes and laws that we have in this municipality, and we enforce those. But you represent everybody in the community. And if there are concerns of one community, I'm going to meet with them, I'm going to discuss it and see if we can resolve those issues. But nobody gets a special favor. Nobody gets granted any special consideration. If you're the mayor of the whole town.
Hi, I'm Toms River Councilwoman Maria Maruca, and I'm supporting Mo Hill for mayor on November 5th. I've sat on the council with Mo for the past few years, and I know Mo to be a man of integrity, honesty, and a passion for his community. Mo and his wife Roseanne have raised their daughters here in Toms River, and 2 of his daughters are raising his grandchildren. I'm asking you to support Mo Hill for mayor, and also Josh Kopp, Matt Lotano, and Kevin Gahagan for council.
My name is Tony Vaz. I'm the mayor of Seaside Heights. I'm here today to strongly endorse Mo Hill for mayor of the Toms River Township. I've known Mo for many years. I find him to be an honorable man, a man who has energy, good work skills, integrity. He's shown the community and the county his interest in government. His election to Toms River, I believe, will be very valuable to the community and the people of Toms River Township.
And we're back here. Go.
Okay, ready for our next question? It's coming up now. One of the things I want to do when I become mayor is I definitely want to have a meet the mayor type of venue, whether we do it Facebook Live, whether we do it at Town Hall, whatever is convenient. If Facebook Live works best for everybody, I would certainly be willing to do that. One of the other things I want to do down at Town Hall is we have to develop a little better customer service attitude downtown. We have to realize that all of us, whether you're the mayor, the council, or any of the employees at Town Hall, we work for the residents. And we need to treat you with courtesy and respect. You may not always like the answer that you get, but you should be treated with respect and courtesy. You're our customer. We are working for you, and we want to resolve your issues. So certainly everybody at Town Hall wants to try to help you. That may not always be the answer that you want to hear if it's a zoning question, but we will try to get you directed in the right area. I'd also like to look for efficiencies at Town Hall, and we can track these, how we're doing as far as customer service down at Town Hall. But again, I've always felt that we have to strive to treat our residents with respect because you are paying our salaries at Town Hall. And we work for you. We don't work for ourselves. It's not our business. We're working for you. I also, in the building department, one of my big bugaboos is I think that we need to also inform the owner of the property along with the developer if there's a problem in the permit process. I think a lot of times what happens is the developer gets notified, but not the homeowner. The homeowner is the one who's paying for the renovation and the permits, and they should be informed if there's a problem with the permitting process so that they can interface with their developer and resolve those problems. A lot of times if the developer gets called, sometimes he may put it on the back burner and the residents get upset with the people at Town Hall. So I would like to see put into place a notification going both to the developer and to the homeowner as to what the status of that application is. Now we have a new program, Spatial Data Logic, which we talked about a little bit last night at last night's council meeting. And that's going to be able to let you track your permitting process at what stage it's at. But we also want to interface with you as the homeowner, let you know where it is. You should know that the application package is complete and that it's in process. And then if there's any deficiencies, as I said, the notification should go in both directions. So those are a couple of goals I have going forward. I'd like to see us develop maybe an employee of the quarter to recognize the superstars that we have working at Town Hall, and we have a lot of them. But I think we need to recognize people that are providing a good service to our residents. Do we have another question? As you know, we've done a number of redevelopment areas downtown. We have one on Hooper Avenue. We also have, and it's been in process for a while, a development area on Route 37, basically from Fisher Boulevard to the bridge. And we need to probably expand that a little bit and move further up. There are stores that are closed and in dilapidated condition. We need to encourage some development along that area. And I think if we do a redevelopment area along Route 37, again, it'll allow us to come in and if some of these properties are in bad shape, to have the township maybe pick them up and put them out for a redevelopment firm. And again, with an RFP to maybe redevelop a section at a time. We don't have to bite the whole elephant. We can take a bite at a time. Maybe break this up and do it in segments so that we can get better stores, more activity along along Route 37. Do we have another question coming up? Okay, can you explain further the $51 million Sandy recovery funds? These funds came from HUD. They were specifically for low-income affordable housing projects. They were managed through the New Jersey Home Mortgage Finance Agency. They cannot go for individual homes. It had to be for affordable projects. And this was Sandy recovery money. It was only to towns that were affected by Sandy. These went to 3 or 4 of our senior affordable projects out on Massachusetts Avenue. I believe one was Cornerstone Commons, another was Green Meadow, and there was another one, I think one behind the Wawa out there. These funds could only be used in low-income housing, affordable housing. They could not be used to repair houses that were damaged by Sandy. They could not be used for anything other than the affordable housing. So it's a little bit of a misnomer to think that we gave $51 million to contractors. They were specifically designated, like I said, from the New Jersey Home Mortgage Finance Agency. The HUD money flowed through them only to affordable housing projects. We have another question coming up?
We're looking right now.
Okay. Well, this $51 million came out 2 years ago in 2017, and we addressed it at that time. It's now being rehashed again by the Democrats. They knew the answer then. We're explaining it again. I don't know what they don't get about it, but it went specifically for specific projects that were affordable. It could not go to rebuild individual family homes or for anything else. It had to be used for the affordable housing. And I think that, you know, that to put that out there as a $51 million given willy-nilly to developers is inaccurate, and it's not factual. Again, question here, why would I want to be mayor? I've spent 2 terms as a Ward 3 representative and 2 terms at large. The next step to me, I was in the service, and I think you always have to be challenging yourself and looking to move forward in an organization. With Mayor Kelleher stepping down, I think I have the knowledge and the experience to do a good job as your mayor. A lot of the issues that you raise here and that I talk about, I have primary knowledge of. The $51 million is an example. I don't think my opponent knows anything about that or what it entails or how it even came to be. I don't think he has a good grasp of what affordable housing involves and the problems that we have in our community with that. And we have now completed our requirements through the year 2025. And I will tell you right now that if the affordable housing people come back and want to hit us with another 2,000 units of affordable housing, I would say enough. We've already provided, we will have provided by 2025 over 3,000 units of affordable housing. That's more than 95% of the towns in New Jersey. And I think we have a problem with affordable housing in that we have no transportation infrastructure. The state mandates these numbers, yet we have no rail service. We have no highway improvements. Route 9, Route 70, they're all just single lane highways and they're in bad need of repair. And the state has to do their job if they're going to burden us with these 3,000 units of affordable housing. And we're building them. We've put them, you know, it increases the traffic congestion on Route 9, and we need the transportation infrastructure to allow traffic movements in our neighborhoods in the northern area of Toms River. Without that, without any improvements, without any rail service, light rail service, commuter rail service, forget it. Any more building in the affordable housing arena in Toms River is a dead issue as far as I'm concerned. I don't think we need to do any more than what we've already done. We've done more than our fair share, and we have a job deficit, so people are commuting outside of town. Enough is enough, and that's it. And with that, we're nearing the end of our program tonight. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you found it informative, and I look forward to our future conversations. And we can do, if I'm elected mayor, we'll do Facebook Live. All right.